Hi, good evening, everybody. Oh, good to see you. Who's that? We can't see you. Yes. No, it won't be tonight. I'm sorry, but I wanted. I will do it or tomorrow or Tuesday. Depends. I'll write to you in the private. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Hi, everybody.
Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome back to our Genesis class live from Jerusalem with Rabbi Chaim Goldberg. We're so glad to have him with us today. We've missed him the last couple of weeks, but thankfully we had Rabbi Hirschler do a wonderful message last week. So we're glad to be back with Rabbi Goldberg. So let's just jump in and say hello to Rabbi Goldberg. Shalom, Rabbi. You're live on Noahide World Center social media pages, and we're glad to be with you. We hope everything's well.
Thank God. I think that to say that everything is well in those days, it's a bit hard, especially because we had a very big tragedy here in Israel with this war, and 3 hostages managed to escape from the Hamas. And unfortunately, it's very complicated, but I will explain this in 2 words, in 2 sentences, okay? Before the soldiers went into Gaza, they were warned that a lot of times the Hamas will put all sorts of things like they are the hostages, but they will bomb them. So the soldiers didn't even thought to themselves that it's maybe hostages. And our soldiers killed 3 hostages. And it was really, all of the country, we are really very sad with the situation. The truth is, I'm going to say something very hard. The truth is that the Hamas is not have no intention of giving us back the hostages alive, if at all. And we need to know that all of the neighborhood here and all over the world, they're looking how exactly we're going to finish or to finalize this war. And if we're going to blink a bit and the Hamas will stay alive, I think we will have a very big problem in few places around us. And more than that, all over the world. And therefore, I think it's my idea, it's my understanding. And some of the parents of the hostages speaking the same. They are really, really brave people. They're standing in front of the TV and they're saying, don't do any any way of taking them out except for finalizing with the Hamas. If they will be alive, they will be alive. If not, it's like the soldiers who are fighting now, and some of the soldiers, unfortunately, are dying. We have no choice. We must think about all of the Jews in Israel. I think that this is the right thing to do. And I'm saying this not because one of my closest families are hostages. Unfortunately, there were 2 or 3 from the broader family, from the greater family, that they were hostages, but they were killed in the first day. But I do have a very close family inside Gaza that are fighting there. And it's very hard. On the other side, we have no choice. I think that this is a very interesting stage in history, that we are writing the next page of history. And after this war will finish, it will be a good question. Who is in what side of the fight? Okay, who is with the good and who is going with the evil? I'm not sure that it will finish in Gaza. Already now we have also the Houthim in the Yemenite that are doing a lot of problems, and they are also part of the Iran and Russia, China, those three together. And I really don't know. And don't forget that we have a very big problem in the north with the Hezbollah that is also part of Iran. I don't know. I really don't know. It's only, we only started and we didn't finish yet. We didn't finalize it. So there are also a lot of, sometimes also, not a lot, sometimes mistakes, like in any war that we have. With it's not, you know what? Now that I remembered something, so let's learn something from the Gemara, from the Babylon Talmud. Okay, let me share the screen. And let me show you something that I'm not sure that people knowledgeable for this thing. Okay, we all speak about Hanukkah. Right? Now, the main thing of Hanukkah, of the Hanukkah celebration that we finished last Friday, is the miracle that we managed, or that we had the possibility of winning the war. Now, the war was in a nature way, okay? We had a lot of, we fighted, even though there were big masses than us, than the Hebrew people, but there was a war there. But at the end, after a year of the wars, people said, okay, we managed, we won, we were more smart, we were smarter than the old Greeks, and we won the war, the battle. So God also did a miracle with this light of the candle. And then we realized that it was a miracle to win the war. But I want to show you something in the Babylon Talmud about this thing, about this war. Let's go inside, if I remember correctly. It's here. One before that, just a moment. See, I don't have the book here. Oh, here it is. Oh. Coming. Here it is. Okay, this is the most ancient script that we have. It's quoting the Gemara here. The Babylon Talmud is quoting from something much older than the Babylon Talmud, and this quote is very interesting. And let's read it for a moment. It's what really happened with this thing of Hanukkah. Okay, so please, Dan.
Okay, the Gemara asks, what is Hanukkah, and why are the lights kindled on Hanukkah? The Gemara answers, the sages taught in Megillat Ta'anit, on the 25th day of Kislev, the days of Hanukkah are 8. One may not eulogize on them, and one may not fast on them. What is the reason? When the Greeks entered the sanctuary, they defiled all the oils that were in the sanctuary by touching them. And when the Hasmonean monarchy overcame them and emerged victorious over them, they searched and found only one curse of oil that was placed with the seal of the high priest, undisturbed by the Greeks. And there was sufficient oil there to light the candelabrum for only one day. A miracle occurred, and they lit the candelabrum from it 8 days. The next year, the sages instituted those days and made them holidays with recitation of Hallel and special thanksgiving in prayers and blessing.
So here we're saying, basically, or the main thing is that this miracle of finding this kind of oil, pure oil, that the Greeks didn't manage to harm it. Okay, now it's not what when we're praying, we're speaking about the victory of the war, fair enough, but the most important thing is when exactly did they decided that there will be a holiday. When did they decide that it will become a holiday?
1 year later?
Only 1 year later, okay? You know how the war started with the old Greeks? In the first day, Antiochus, the king of the Greeks, he killed more than 1,000 Jews. This is how it all started. And it took a year. And the first year, I'm sure that it wasn't so happy year. It was a year of a battle, a year of that we lost few of the most important people that we had there in those times. So sometimes the war is starting, and in the first year, you're still in a big battle. Only after a few days, months, maybe a year, this is where you're starting to celebrate the victory of the war. This is what's happening here also. Okay, only the next year they institute the Hanukkah. But in the first year, they were in a big battle. So I will say, the history is coming back in some sort of a way, and we will win it. I'm sure that we will win it, but again, don't get confused. Here in the Gemara, it speaks only about about the miracle of the oil. If we will go to the prayer, do we have here a prayer? It is Seder Tefillah. Let's go to Seder Tefillah. I don't mind what it is. Let me show you. We have it also in the Brit Shalom, Brit Olam book. When we're mentioning the occasion of Hanukkah, I will do to you what I did to all of my students all over the years. I will say to you like that. I'm going to show you the thing that we adding in Hanukkah, and those who will find to me inside this prayer a hint or that the miracle of the candles, where it's written down, I will pay him $100. Okay, just a moment. So let be there. Okay, this is what you say. This is what you add on Hanukkah. See on Hanukkah? Okay, please read it for a moment. Done. In the days of Mattityahu.
In the days of Metziahu, son of Yochanan, the high priest, the Hasmonean and his sons, when the evil Greek kingdom rose up against your people Israel to make them forget your Torah and to turn them away from your statutes, the statutes of your will, you, in your abundant mercy, stood by them in their time of distress. You defended their cause. You judged their grievances. You avenged them. You delivered the mighty into the hands of the weak, many into the hands of the few, defiled people into the hands of the undefiled, the wicked into the hands of the righteous, and insolent sinners. And insolent sinners into the hands of diligent students of your Torah. And you made yourself a great and sanctified name in your world. And for your people Israel you performed a great deliverance and redemption unto this very day. Afterwards your sons entered the Holy of Holies of your abode, cleaned your temple, purified your sanctuary, and kindled lights in the courtyard of your sanctuary, and designated these 8 days of Hanukkah to thank and praise your great name.
So here, when we're praying, we're not mentioning at all the miracle of the lighting. Okay, we're mentioning that they lighted candles, but we're not saying that it was a miracle occasion or something like that, a miracle occasion. It was only we lighted a candle. The main prayer that we have is thanking God for helping us to restore back the Hebrew, I will say, independence of being by ourselves without the empire of the Greeks, that we managed to rebuild again the empire of the Greeks, and this is the main thing of Hanukkah. And this is what we're praying, and this is what we're saying also the Hallel, praise of God. And as I showed before, in the first year. It was a year of war, a year of battles. Only after that, and I'm really saying, just like, we didn't went inside too much to the Hanukkah occasion this year, but we spoke about this in previous years. But just like in Hanukkah, we wrote another page on the history of the world. The old Greeks are not here anymore. The Hebrew nation is still here. Now we're writing another page of the history, and it's a question who is going to be on the right side, and we are just continuing on the progress of restoring back and coming back to our homeland, just like the prophets said. And I admire all of you, because it's not an easy era now in those days to stand by side of the Hebrew nation. I saw that also there are a few Jews all over the world, also in Canada. Yesterday I saw something, but a bit confused with the right side of the things. We will do it. This is enough for this now. Unless you have any questions or something that you want to note. If not, we're going to continue on with Rabbi Akiva. It's very important to continue with him, because we're going to learn a lot of important, I will say, the right way of life. But it's not only Rabbi Akiva. I'm going to surprise you here with something very interesting above it. But if there is anything that you want to ask, so this is the time. If not, we will continue on with Rabbi Akiva. Okay, I understand that we're going on with Rabbi Akiva. So I want to say something important, and then we will continue with it. The story of Rabbi Akiva that we saw, that he went and learned for 24 years, and until then his wife let him to go there, and he had a good eye, something that is trying to see the positive things in life and not the negative things in life. Rabbi Akiva came back in this story that we saw 2 weeks ago with 24,000 students. A couple of students. Each one of them had someone to learn. So he had an enormous amount of students that Rabbi Akiva led them. He was the leader of those students. There is a story. It's being brought also in the Talmud, in Babylon Talmud. Never mind now. The story is saying that they all died in the rebellion against the Romans. Speaking about almost 400 years after Hanukkah, okay? Something like that. Speaking about the time of the 70 years of the beginning of the BC, what we call, okay? The time that we're starting to count the years. And all of his students were part of this rebellion, and all of them died. The Gemara is saying that the reason why they died, because they didn't respect one each other. So we, again, always remember that the Bible, and also after that, our sages, are judging the things on the scale of good and bad. It starts already in the first days of the creation, where since the first day that God is saying that God saw the light that is good, and he continue out. So he can close the first day, and then we will continue to the next day. On the next day, we don't have any judgment, but we have the judgment twice in the third day for what happened in the second day and what's happening in the third day. So the Bible and also our sages, they are scaling things with good and bad, not only with the technical issues. Of course, they all died because there was a war and they all died. But the sages are asking, what was the main reason? Okay, I will say. And the reason will be always something that is related with the behavior of us as a human being. And since in the history of the world, of the time of the world, since Cain and Abel, the most important thing that we have is a relationship between man and his fellow man. This is the judgment that God is giving. Those students of Rabbi Akiva, They didn't have the right attitude one to each other. Okay, this is why God punished them in the rebellion of Bar Kokhba, the rebellion against the Romans, they all died. Now, until here, this is a story that the Babylon Talmud is telling us, and we know it also from other resources. Fair enough. Now, the main questions that I want to raise up, as if, for instance, I was Rabbi Akiva. I'm not, but if I was Rabbi Akiva, so each one of us, try to think for a moment. 40 years old, this is only when you're starting to learn. You're managing to become the most highest leader for the Hebrew people. You have so many students. You already, after 24 years, at least 64. It was a bit more, but at least 64, maybe even 70 years old. So 70 years old, you passed so much in your life. You managed to bring among you or with you, okay, so many students to influence so much, and all of them are dying. What will happen to a normal person when he's almost 70 years old? Something like that is happening to him. Usually, he will say to himself, okay, I did my life. This is it. I can go away. That's it. We call this despair. Have no more ambitions in this age of life. That's it. Finished everything. I want to show you for a moment what happened to Rabbi Akiva after that. Okay, be aware. It's only 2 sentences in the Babylon Talmud, and just to think what's happened there, it's a mind-blowing. I will say connection with the Torah and with the responsibility for the history of the Jewish people. Okay, so let's see for a moment what is happening. The different parts. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, I'm saying it in Hebrew, and in a moment Danny will read it. You see, it's only 1 sentence here in Hebrew, but to explain this, you need a bit more sentences in English. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, stam מתניתין רבי מאיר, סתם תוספתא רבי נחמיה, סתם ספרא רבי יהודה, סתם ספרי רבי שמעון, וכולהו אליבא דרבי עקיבא. Okay, now please, let's first of all read it in English, and then I will explain this a bit, what happened there, and what Rabbi Akiva did. Okay?
The Gemara responds, that was... you scroll down one line. No, up, back up. Okay, the Gemara responds that should not enter your mind as an unattributed Bereisha that was cited as a passage from the Halakhic Midrash on the books of Numbers and Deuteronomy entitled Sifri. And Rabbi Yohanan says, an unattributed Mishnah is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Meir. An unattributed Bereisha in the Tosafta is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Nehemiah. An unattributed Bereisha in the Sifra, the Halakha Midrash on the book of Leviticus, is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, and an unattributed Bereisha in the Sifri is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Shimon. And all of these are in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, as all the sages mentioned were his disciples. Therefore, it is unlikely that an unattributed Bereisha from the Sifri, if you can scroll down more. Therefore, it is unlikely that an unattributed Bereisha from the Sifri would run counter to the opinion of Rabbi Shimon.
Well, the main thing, the last sentence here is a bit less important. The most important thing here is that all the Torah that we have today, Rabbi Akiva went to the south, and he took 5 students that were left, new students, I'm not sure, I don't know, and he taught them the full oral Torah, as we saw already, that even Moses didn't understood all of the oral Torah of Rabbi Akiva, okay, but then Rabbi Akiva said that it's all according to Moses, so he understood that it have the connection. Rabbi Akiva he was very old, he saw all of his students died, everything is right, but then he took himself, he lifted up himself, and he went and taught 5 students the whole Torah. And here we're mentioning all the 5 parts of the oral Torah. About the Mishnah, then the Gemara will be on the Mishnah, the Babylon Talmud and the Jerusalem Talmud will be on the Mishnah, and we have the Sifra, the Sifri, all those books, basically the main parts of the oral Torah. I will say the hardcore of the oral Torah, and all of them are accordingly like Rabbi Akiva taught them. So the next part of the oral Torah will be through Rabbi Akiva. Just to think for a moment about this giant person, okay, who didn't say to himself, he didn't allow himself to be desperate and to say to himself, okay, that's it, enough. I tried my best, that's it. He went after he was already sure that he lost everything, and he rebuilt everything from the beginning. Start to realize that this person, how much he have, or say, empowered, how much powers he had in himself to carry on the next stage of the Torah. And this will explain to us a bit what he will say later on in this Mishnah, that we need to realize how much the person is important, and this we saw already, and also how much the Torah is important. You see how much the Torah is important for him, how much he's taking responsibility that he can't leave this world without passing on all of his knowledge of Torah and how exactly to learn the Torah. If all of his students died, so therefore he needs to continue on. So this is a very important, 2 sentences that are explaining exactly what's happening with Rabbi Akiva. And I want to say it's very important for me to share here something that is also accordingly related to this, to the issue that you're speaking about. I think that we spoke about this more than once. There is until the time that we went to the Babylon diaspora and we came back. This is the story of the Purim, the Megillah, the Esther Megillah. Okay, Esther Megillah. This is something like 200 years or 300 years before Hanukkah. Just 600 years backwards. Don't get confused. I hope that you're not confused with the things that I'm saying. Until then, we had no debates and fights and arguments about how to behave according to the halacha. Okay, why that? Because we had a system, and we read it already once in the Maimonides. We had a system of deciding who is right, who is wrong, and what exactly we're going to do. And this system was connected to the Temple Mount. In the Temple Mount, there was the Supreme Court of the Hebrew people, where they decided, they finalized when there was an argument or debate between the sages, exactly what to do. And then we lost it. And since then, when they came back to the Babylon diaspora, not the Babylon, sorry, the Persian diaspora, after the Purim, after the Esther story, we had arguments. Since then, the arguments started. Okay. In Rabbi Akiva era, already we have a lot of arguments. And then the sages had all sorts of ideas how exactly to close up the behavior of the Hebrew people, what exactly to do. And we have more or less something like 3 or 4 main streams, okay, how to behave. I will say this, I'm not sure that it will say to you anything, but there is a difference between the Ashkenazi side. Okay, the Ashkenazi side is the people that grew up in Europe, in the diaspora in Europe and in the United States after that, and the Sephardic side. Those are the people that grew up in the Islam world, okay, in the North Africa and also in Babylon those places. This is more or less the two mainstreams, but there are also few nuances in there. Until today, we don't have exactly one way of deciding the halacha. There are those who are going according to the Rambam, those who are going according to the Rabbi Yosef Karo with the Shulchan Aruch, those who are going with others. What exactly to do? Sometimes you need to decide. This is what you're allowed to do. This is not what you're not allowed to do. One of the things that we lost long time ago, since King Solomon maybe, was the main question about how to behave with the Noahide people. Okay, I'm telling the truth. And in the 18th century, there was a very interesting sage, a very smart one, very big one in Italy, that decided, he had a very interesting student with him, and he decided to write for him a book. Okay, the name of the rabbi is Rabbi Eliyahu ben Amozeg, and he wrote a book. The book is Israel and the Nations. Now, this book was written down in the French language, in the Italian language, not in the French language. And he wrote it to one of his students, and he said to him, you are going to be the first Noahide. And since then, he wrote the first, I will say, fundamental book. And from there, we started to discuss it. The sages started to discuss it. One of the most amazing things is how many laws do we know for the Noahide? How many laws do we know for the Noahide? How many laws there are for the Noahide? What do you say?
7.
7. Everybody agrees with the 7?
Well, I understand that there is a discussion. I read somewhere 30, 7 plus 30.
Very nice. So in one of the places in the Babylon Talmud is speaking about 31 mitzvot commandments. And there is one other place that the Babylon Talmud is speaking about 7 only. Most of our sages are saying that it's only 7. The 7 is the most basic ones, okay? But also, most of our sages are saying that there's also 31. And it's already from more than 1,000 years ago, this 31. And they have a list of the 31 commandments. And now the main question is, especially today, nowadays, is what is happening. Now, I will say another maybe sentence before. The main question about this, I will say, debate or question exactly how to behave and what to say to the Noahide is that the 7 commandments, all of them are not positive commandments. They are all negative. Don't kill, don't steal, don't blaspheme God, those things. And it's very interesting. It's very important also to notice that this is something that most of the people are also doing it. I'm not saying, okay, maybe the blasphemy of God is a bit more complicated, because if you believe in idolatry, so you're doing some sort of a blasphemy against God. But most of the people are not killing, are not stealing, are not doing sexual harassment. A normal person is not doing those things. Usually, I hope, but mostly, most of the people are not doing those things. And there we came to a very interesting stage that a lot of people came to us, to the sages of Israel, started to say to us, no, but we want to do an active action to get connected with God. And what we are answering them, usually what we started to answer them, we said to them, take whatever you want, you can add for yourself, but we can't say to you that you need to add this or you need to add that. And people were very annoyed. I'm speaking about, smart people that knew a lot from the Hebrew sages. People were annoyed. People said to us, no, you are the Hebrew sages. You need to tell us what to do and what not to do. And we looked on the books that we had there in those times. I'm speaking about 10 years ago. And we saw what there is. And we saw how it's written down. And we said to ourselves, okay, Rabbi Shirky said, I'm going to go inside to this. I'm going to learn this very deeply, in a very profound way. Rabbi Shirky is also one of the paskin, or one of that they have also the possibility to write those things. And we got also a lot of nominations from a lot of rabbis. And we wrote down the book that we all know, the Brit Shalom book. One of the things, for example, is a question about Shabbat. For example, okay, we're saying the Maimonides is saying that you can do Shabbat according to a few of his interpreters, and we recommending people not to keep full Shabbat. Fair enough. And we took the book of the Brit Shalom book, we took it outside with a lot of recommendation of rabbis. A lot of rabbis, the chief rabbis of Israel, the chief rabbi of Jerusalem, the chief rabbi of the town of Tzfat, and also a lot of discussions between rabbis and everything else. And someone came to us and said to us that we are giving permission much higher than we are allowed to give. They disagree with us. So we said, okay, fair enough. There's a way, there's a system how people need to discuss one with each other. Okay, Rabbi Akiva, his students died because they didn't have any honor one to each other. There's a way how rabbis need to discuss one with each other about this thing. And the Brit Shalom book is something that have also very great rabbis at the end that are discussing with Rabbi Sherki about few notes inside there. Fair enough. And we all know, for example, Rabbi Weiner. No, Rabbi Weiner, right? You have a book, very nice book, very good book, also 3 Divan Code, whatever it is. And suddenly, someone wrote a very hard letter against Rabbi Sherki and went to Rabbi Weiner. And Rabbi Weiner signed this, letter against Rabbi Sherki. Rabbi Sherki asked him, hey, this is not the way. It's not the way to discuss things. If you have something to tell me, please tell me. So I want to show you the answer of Rabbi Weiner. You see here, Rabbi Weiner, Moshe Weiner. It's in Hebrew, right? So let's put it in English. Okay, let's put it in English. Just that you will see. When was it? It was 2 weeks ago, 27th of November. You see that? Okay. Let's take this for a moment and let's translate this. Let's translate this to English. Okay, you with me? See what I'm doing? This is the Hebrew. Please, I didn't touch it. Let's read it. Let's read it. You know what? If you want to, let's read it for a moment. Okay, please. Sharki Shlita, yes. Yeah. Greetings. Just a moment. First of all, you see what the answer is? The beginning of it. Rabbi Sherki, what you wrote there are points I want to discuss with you, but here we're speaking about a conceptual discussion. Now,
right.
I could have stopped here. We will read it all, so you won't say to me that I'm hiding something or something like that. But first of all, we need all to know, those who are saying that you're not allowed to keep Shabbat, it's not a halachic problem, it's only a conceptual discussion. What is the right way to approach and to show to the Noahide people all over the world? Now, I'm reminding us all, not only the Shabbat. By the way, the Shabbat is not part of the letter that they wrote against Rabbi Sherki, okay, or against this book of Brit Shalom. It's not against Rabbi Sherki, it's against the book, okay? They spoke about something else. They spoke about the mezuzah. Never mind now. It's not the issue. First of all, that we need to know, it's not a question of how to interpret or how to explain the halacha of the 7 laws of Noah. The question is how exactly to approach the conceptual way to approach the Noahide people. And now let's see what he is writing. And I think that we don't need to explain anymore. Please.
Okay. A general call to Noah's sons, which permits adding to the mitzvah even if the matter is done in good faith, and only to out the halakha alone carries a responsibility which I fear. We must understand and focus on what the innocent Ben Noah reader understands and thinks, and we'll do and learn further, etc. anyways, and not what we know or mean or think. The reader simply understanding that it is permissible and good for him to add to such leadership, and he will be rewarded for it. And we are commanded to stand as a wall for the holiness of Israel and the separation of Israel from the nations. And one of the walls of religion and the separation between Israel and the nations is the holy Sabbath, because a covenant is between me and Israel and the world. A permissive trend of bringing Israel closer to the nations in behavior, like the general approximation of the nations of the world to Jewish behavior in observing mitzvot, mainly mitzvot Isah, practices, blurs the boundaries of holiness between Israel and the nations. My objection is to the call that is interpreted to the nations of the world on the possibility of doing Shabbat or keeping the Shabbat and adding it to a mitzvah, such as placing a mezuzah on their homes, for example. And what would have been worse if this chapter had not been changed in writing, neither for permission nor for prohibition? After all, Ben Noach is a Hasidic who comes and asks in private. You can instruct him in practice as an individual instructs according to your understanding. I remain his friend and respect him for most of his work in spreading the Torah in general and the Torah of Bnei Noach in particular and his precious deeds. And I mean the Torah matter, the above only, and not a personal one. His friend Moshe Weiner.
Excellent. So what we have here, first of all, is a conceptual question. Is it okay that we publishing the halacha outside, or that we need to be quiet and only when someone will ask us what to do to say it? Now, when you're starting to discuss conceptual issues, one can come, and I think that we said this more than once also, one can come with the idea, I'll say it like that, of I think A, and the other one can come with the idea, I think B. If there is any, I will say, special debate about the practical side, this is something else. This is a way how to discuss it. Halachically, unfortunately yet, we don't have in the Temple Mount the rabbis, the Supreme Court that will decide if to publish it or not to publish it. We think that after we saw a lot of questions and a lot of people who are asking us, that it's important also to give the possibility for people who want to take to themselves all sorts of ideas to behave in this way or in that way. So we thought, or we still think that it's important to publish. And we're saying, by the way, proper conduct and all those words, that it's not something that you must do, but it's something that if you're doing it, do it in this way and do it in that way. And there are those who have different conceptions, fair enough. But halachically, nobody is, as he's also mentioning here, Rabbi Weiner, if someone is coming to you and asking you in privately, say to him whatever you want to say. It's okay, because this is the halacha. Now, why I'm saying this? Because since Rabbi Akiva died, and not only since he died, but also before that, but after he died, it was even more strongly like that, that there are few streams of the halacha, and this is one of the most important things that are really, I will say, those who are coming from other religion don't really understand until the bottom of the line, the bottom of this issue. There are few ways how to behave, and they are all okay. Okay, everybody knows that Passover is Passover. This is the days of Passover. Inside Passover, there are a few things that for some of the Jews, it's chametz, you're not allowed to eat it. For some of the Jews, it's allowed to eat. Now, there is no, I will say, debate about the main chametz that you're not allowed to eat. But there are, where the border is, that you're not allowed and you are allowed. And there are few, I will say, halachic ways that all of them are okay. For those Jews, this is okay. For those Jews, it's a bit different. And on the same level, we have on Shabbat few things that for the Ashkenazi Jews, they are allowed to do this. For the Sephardic Jews, they are allowed to do other things. We have this all the time. And on the same level also for the Noahide. And each one of you here in this room, but in also other places, the minimum that everybody speaks about is the 7 laws that are more things that you are abounding yourself from not doing in active, but doing more in passive way. There are those who are asking, but they want to do more. They want to do extra. They want to do active things. And this is where we took out the book. And we said, look, this is the, I will say, the range. Go inside. There are those who conceptuality in their conception, they're saying to themselves, no, don't take this outside in a book. Even though you're right, but it's not allowed to take it out. Fair enough. So this is what they think. Fair enough. Don't take the books. Right? In your book, Rabbi Moshe Weiner, we respecting him very much. One of the things that we did, instead of saying that we disagree with him, we're saying, fair enough, this is one way of doing or showing those things. We have a different way. So we took out the book, and we have also all the, not encouragement, how do you say it, from the chief rabbis and from the others, about, okay, they said to us, very nice. I'm saying this mainly also because lately in this channel, and this is one of the things that I want you all to know. We're working with few rabbis, and in this channel, someone said that an Noahide is not allowed to keep full Shabbat. Now, I'm saying again, we are encouraging not to do full Shabbat. I think that it's very complicated, and I think that if someone is sitting, for example, in Belgium, in some place, okay, with his family, not in a Jewish environment, trying to do Shabbat, it's a bit insane. Sorry, I'm sorry. Okay, but you're not insane. But it's a bit, it's a bit hard. It's really hard. Believe me, to keep a full Shabbat in the right way. It's really complicated and hard, and you need to learn it at least a year and a half to understand all the details. And you need to be in the environment of Jewish community to keep it in the right way. Okay, I can give you a lot of examples. You won't believe it. So we're not encouraging people to do Shabbat. On the other side, if someone will take on himself, and we know a few of them who are taking on themselves to do a Shabbat, fair enough. It's not something that is wrong. Okay, but the Shabbat is the most, I will say, extreme example. There are other things, but someone here in this, and because we respect people and we have good connections with few rabbis, even though this rabbi spoke, and I got questions about this, and this Dan knows about it. I said to him that I'm going to surprise you. See, Dan, the letter from Rabbi Weiner, it's a surprise. But because there was someone here who sat down and said, no, it's not allowed, and we read this, the Maimonides like that, and fair enough. I'm not saying you're reading it in this way. It's still in the boundaries of the Hebrew nation. There are those who think that Noahide people, just a moment, Noahide people are not allowed to keep Shabbat. And we have also those who understand and realize that the Noahide are allowed to keep Shabbat. Fair enough. Those are two in the same range still of the Judaism. You can go with this rabbi, you can go with this rabbi. We have our approach. This is why we spreading out the Noahide, the Brit Shalom and Brit Olam book. The Brit Shalom that we have today is in already, I think, 16 or 17 languages. And we just started. We're going to do a very big publish for this now in the next coming few months. This is what I want to speak with you about this. We'll speak about this privately later on, with all sorts of ideas. But we have, and fair enough, those who don't want to accept it, it's okay. We're not afraid from those who are saying things a bit different than us. But on the other side, we're asking to remember, and this is very important, and this is coming from Rabbi Akiva, to respect one each other, to know how to speak one with each other. You can't say that if this is my understanding, I'm in the boundaries, and everybody else who's not thinking like me, even though he is inside also the boundaries, he is wrong, totally wrong. We can't speak with him, something like that. No, please have respect. There are few things inside the boundaries. Unfortunately, we don't have the last word of the Supreme Court, because we still don't have the Beit HaMikdash, the Sanhedrin. Fair enough, it will come. Another few years, we will have the Sanhedrin, and everything will be much more clearer. And then also, by the way, there will be a difference between countries, between cultures. There will be a difference between the German people, the Spanish people, okay, the Belgian people, Canadian people, and the England people. The England people always have their, with the cats and all those things in the back of them. Never mind. So,
Rabbi, can you pull your microphone closer? We're losing your
yes,
microphone.
yes.
That's much better.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course. I want to close it. It's related also to Rabbi Akiva. And if you remember, we started everything by learning the Mishnah of Rabbi Akiva in the Ethics of the Fathers, where he's saying, first of all, that Chaviv Adam Shenivra B'Tselem. It's very important to remember that each person in this world is being in the image of God. And then he's continuing on that the Hebrew nation who got the Torah, now we're starting to realize how much it was important for him, the Torah. And this is the knowledge, their knowledge that they have the Torah is very important. And they have responsibility for the world to bring the Torah to the world. So this is, even though if you have inside the boundaries of the Hebrew people, you have this, you're going according to this rabbi, or you're going to the other rabbi, to respect others who have or see things a bit differently. This is very important also, the way that you are discussing issues and showing things. Rabbi Weiner answered Rabbi Sherki very nicely, and he said to him, I have no problems with your decisions. I have problems with the conception, if it's good to do it or not, to publish it. Say it like that. You saw the answer. Yes, Dan, please.
Yeah, Rabbi, I understand the difference between personal growth, and I think people need to understand your own personal development in bond to Hashem is one thing, but my concern is that question of wholeness for the individual and what the whole Noahide message is. The 7 laws of Noah are enough for somebody to be considered a righteous of the nations, meriting a place in Olam Haba, right, in the world to come. As far as personal development, it's a different story individually. That's where the problem comes in. But my question is, when it becomes a whatever you want from the 613, it distorts the message of the 7, and it undermines the wholeness of the 7. When over here they're doing there, and over that they're doing this, and over here they're doing that, and everybody's doing whatever they want, it just seems clouded and unclear, rather than whole. What makes a person whole when you're yeah.
I have a lot of thankful for you for asking me this question. Okay, and this is part of the things that we learned here. We did a very long session, if you remember, with the Lee Fogel, with Rabbi, it's not a rabbi, but with Lee, who translated also the Brit Shalom to the English part from the Hebrew, who is part of the translators. And we did a long session about this book of the Brit Shalom. The main, I will say, structure is starting with the 7 laws that are more or less, except for the one law that is to the public, not for the person, about building up courts, okay? But the main thing is the 6 laws that can give us, I will say, common to all of the human people here, the common thing. And this is enough when you're accepting on yourself to become an Noahide, or by doing self-declaration, or by doing it in front of 3 rabbis. This is enough if you're behaving in the right way for coming to the world to come. But as everything else in our life, okay, there are also stages. And there are those who have, I will say, much more inside desire and inside for themselves. You're saying potential. Everybody have potential for things. Okay, this is one of the most worst things that teachers are saying to the kids. you have a potential. So now you are very crappy, but you have a potential. I'm not saying like that. Everybody here have, there are stages. There are those who want much more to be involved in spiritual things. Those who want to have some sort of rituals, behaviors. Those who want to have more connections with rabbis, more connections with God. And this is where the book came, the Brit Shalom book came, and gave the boundaries, okay, the maximum boundaries, I will say, that you can go with this thing of the Noahide and things that you can do, and what are the things that you are not allowed to do. And it's also written down there. And we saw all of this. And it's all based on the 7 laws and other things that you can add if there are more than the 7 laws. Because in part, we said it, there is also in Masechet Chulin, in other place of the Babylon Talmud, they're speaking about 31 mitzvot or 32 mitzvot, not 7. So the question is, what exactly are the 32 and who are mentioning them and what exactly is the list and everything else? It's not, you must do it. But this is where you're starting to see that also our sages, when they spoke about the 7 is the minimum. And if someone wants to do more, there are more that you can do.
Yeah.
And also those
threads
sevens,
of connectivity
in few things. And the book, the Brit Shalom book, is being built up in a 7 and also other things that you can do. And exactly in the 7, what exactly is the boundaries? Again, you can achieve the world to come also by doing only the 7,
right.
that are mainly passive things. Again,
I guess my concern is that when it becomes more than the 7, it becomes muddy in the sense that it gives the impression to the public that the 7 are not enough to make you whole, and then people start with, well, you don't do this, you don't do that, and then it starts to become unhealthy competition. Yeah, it undermines the 7 by saying, well, you can do more. Yeah, and it negates the whole point.
I will say it like that. Okay. First of all, our sages are saying that you can do more than 7. not Chaim Goldberg said it, not Rabbi Sherki said it, but our sages said it. And we are learning, we, the Hebrew people are learning, for example, how to honor our parents from a story that is coming from a non-Jewish person. You know that? So I will say, this is maybe the main point. The main point is that we need to be very careful, regardless if we are Jewish people or if we are Noahide people. We need to be very careful with the relation that we have with our family and with our friends. And those are supposed to be very, I will say, restricted ideas, how to behave, how to speak, what to do, and to give, I will say, to be with a good connection and with a lot of honor one to each other, because this is the main thing that we are being judged. I will say it like that. Nobody really have any relation with God. Nobody have here in this world today prophecy. And even if when it will come back, the prophecy, it will be mainly in the Hebrew people. So if we understand that, how do we know what exactly the relation that we have with God? When we understand that our friend, okay, regardless if he is from, and this is what Rabbi Akiva said, Chaviv Adam Shenivra B'Tselem, every human being is very important because he is in the image of God. Exactly what Rabbi Akiva said. So regardless if my friend is living in the United Kingdom, in Belgium, in the Spanish area, or in India, never mind, or in Canada, okay? The relation and the honor that I'm giving to my friend, because he is in the image of God, this is the relation that I'm starting to realize to give also, that I'm giving God, I'm honoring God. This is basically chapter 4 in Genesis that we've learned a few times with the Cain and Abel. And from there it's continuing on. And to have this relation and this good, proper behavior one with each other, this is where we went inside to a lot of details in the Brit Shalom book. We were giving a lot of details for other issues that are related with the 7 laws. So the 7 laws are more like, I will say, masterpiece. The main part that from there you can have a lot of details. And we're giving a lot of details. There are also more things that you can decide to take for yourself, but it's not a competition. Each one needs to decide for himself how much he wants to do or what exactly he wants to do. Not everybody's supposed to be to behave in a ritual, for example, of praying every day. There are those who want it more. There are those who want it less. Wants those things less. It's okay. Enough. The 7 is enough for getting the world to come. Okay. You are for Noahide. You want to do more things, God bless you. Okay, you will get more closer. You want to do less things, it's okay. It's okay also. But the most important thing is the behavior with your fellow men, because this is what is showing the approach that you have to the image of God around you. Okay, because you don't have any other image of God except for the people around you. God is not appearing in front of us that we can honor him, and unfortunately we don't have yet the Temple Mount that we can sacrifice and do other things that are related with God. I hope it was clear enough done.
I guess it doesn't allow the compass to point north is my point, is that it just starts to go all over the place when it's not a clear message of 7, but 7 plus whatever you want to add or pick. It makes it cloudy.
It's not whatever you want to add. This is where the book is coming. The book is coming and giving the boundaries. There are things that you're not allowed to add. For example, when people ask us, don't put tzitzit, don't put tefillin. Tefillin and tzitzit, for example, is, I said it more than once. When a soldier,
but when the Rambam said, that we're not allowed to make for themselves a new religion or a new add to the mitzvot or take away from it. When is the line that people are adding mitzvot to their 7 and giving that as an example to public?
You're right with this thing of in the Rambam and those who are explaining the Rambam also giving the exact ideas, what yes, what not. And this is exactly where we just, Rabbi Shirky had put in this on the paper and published it in the book. And we're not saying here things that are not with the rabbis. The main question is how much to put it in front of the society. Okay? Well, Rabbi Warner is saying, don't say it loud and clear. Say it only quietly when someone is asking you. And we're saying, no, let's be clear so it will be clear the boundaries. That's it. And there are those who are taking the full boundaries. There are those who are taking part of the boundaries, and it's okay. We're not judging anybody. And we're waiting patiently to have also the. And by the way, we're not saying you will look inside, you will see. And you remember this book, you know this book. I don't need to tell you this book. Everybody can read it. We're not saying add more mitzvot just for your sake. But we're explaining exactly what are the boundaries. And we're saying, look, those are the boundaries. Don't go above it. You can go less. You can take only the 7. It's okay. And exactly what are the 7s and what are the concluding. We're not, you saw also Rabbi Weiner, when he wrote down, he said, I'm not against the things that you're saying. I'm saying I'm not sure that it's okay to publish it. Fair enough. He said it like that. The chief rabbis of Israel accepted it. The chief rabbi of Jerusalem accepted it. The chief rabbi of Tzfat accepted it. The chief other big rabbis who are very, from Ramat Gan, from others, you can go inside. There are very important rabbis who said that we did okay, that it's okay to publish it. So we're publishing it. Those who prefer not to, it's okay for them.
Yeah, I get that it's mercy towards the human condition for sure, compassion for the human condition. I mean, people need to grow and develop, and their relationship with them and Hashem is their relationship with them and Hashem, and we should not really even pay attention to somebody else's intimacy between themselves and Hashem, but My concern is that the message becomes smeared after it's no longer clear. It's not. Yeah, I've heard of people calling Noahides.
This is why we gave now another few good words to be clear with the message. I think so. I hope it was clear enough what you said now.
I guess I'm looking for a clear green light, red light, green light, red light. And, when over here in the West, we've got an amber light in the middle, and you'd be amazed how many people drive through an intersection on an amber light rather than slow down and stop. And I don't know. I guess the concern is that it becomes an unclear message. Nobody wants to stifle personal development into wholeness, but does the Sheva Mitzvot clearly, and still there's enough in there to branch into wholeness for sure. I just need that clarified. But does anybody else in the group have anything they want to ask the Rabbi?
The 7 is enough, and you can also understand the boundaries. Yes, please, Bob.
Can it be of help to stay with the rabbi or the teacher you choose?
Again, please, the question.
Well, in answering then, it's just a thought of mine. Can it be of a help that one stays with the teaching of the rabbi he has chosen for himself?
We have a saying. The say in the Hebrew tradition is saying that it's always preferable to learn from someone alive and not to learn from the books, or to learn less from the books, to learn more from someone alive, because the books are being written down only when you forget things. Okay, for example, we don't need any books how to put the what do you call it? I forgot the name. The button. Okay, how to tie the button inside the shirt. You know why? Because everybody remember how to do that. Maybe another 200 years, people will forget how to do that, and then we'll start to write books how to do that. This is because we forgot. When are we starting to write things? When we're forgetting things. Fair enough. So the main thing in the oral Bible, there is the scripted written Bible that God gave us to Moses. This is one thing. How exactly to explain it, and how exactly to live it, this is what we're getting from the live rabbis. This is where we have much preferable, I will say, standards of learning from someone alive and not just from the books. This is also why we took time and we have learned all this spiritual book. We read it, we explained it, we discussed it, and we didn't just let it to be as a, something that is written down and that's it. And you can find it also on the internet and everything. We did it twice, by the way. We did it twice, and now we're doing it another time with the Rabbi Dov Kaplan. He's doing it also, because it's very important also to speak with someone that is alive. And we got a lot of questions about this book and without this book. I think that one of the most amazing questions that I remember is that a nurse it was in one of the countries in South America. She was a nurse in the time of the coronavirus, in the beginning of the coronavirus. And the people who are in charge of her came to her and said to her that she must take down the breathing air from people 80 years old and to give it to youngest people. And she said to us, but it's really killing people. And if she won't do this, she will lose her job. And then her family will die from starving. And she asked us what to do. Okay, an example. Now this is related, this question is related already with the question of don't murder, don't kill. It's not a question of something that I want to add. Fair enough. Something that I want to do, but it is more than just a 7. No. It's one of the essential 7. killing someone, killing the 80 years old person. Never mind now the answer, because we gave a private answer. It was a private, just I want that it will be in the knowledge that we have questions, we have what to debate and what to ask, and we're discussing with the rabbis for those issues, we finding exactly how to behave. And sometimes things that are the answer for one will be the opposite for other one when you're speaking on the personal level. The main part of this book and what we mentioned with the Brit Shalom is that people will know what are the boundaries, and the boundaries are very, very clear there. And it's very important to have someone that will be in connection with you, not to live only from the books. One of our ambitions is to have in Jerusalem, a seminar for 2 or 3 months with people from all over the world, Noahide, to build up the sages of the Noahide. This is one of the dreams that we have. We will do it. We'll be with this also, because it's very important also. But of course, those sages of the Noahide will have connection with the Hebrew sages. But then it will be much easier for us that they will also teach and construct and guide the people in their area. So this is also one of the things that we have on the table with the dreams. We have dreams. Without dreams, we won't be able to continue this world. I want to come to the next stage. Yes, Lizette, please.
Okay. First of all, my voice is not so good yet.
Good to see you. God bless you, and with a lot of health, please. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. There is another situation that I see that is coming out. And since it's prohibited not to make another religion out of the 7 commandments for Noahides, it's also not allowed to make something a phenomenon that I will call it Judaolatry. And what is this phenomenon? It's that because a Jew said that's the way it is. Everything that a Jewish person says is taken with a dimension that, especially in Latin America, that we should be careful with. Okay? When it comes to the teachings of the sages, it's perfect. When it comes to the teachings of our rabbis, it's okay, but you cannot idolatrate your rabbi or think that he's perfect because he's Jewish. So I see that this is happening very much, and we must be careful with that too. What do you recommend us to say, and to, I don't know, explain people, because it's like they develop this image in their mentality. So idolatry, I think it's very wide, and we need to set up some examples of what is also called idolatry, especially when people are coming from other religions where you idealize and you idolatrate a man and give that man things that, like if he was a god and he's not. So they basically say, okay, yes, I understand it, but when it comes to practice, then I see that tendency now, because the Jew said it, you're not using your capacity, your intellect to identify and to differentiate. This is correct. This is not correct. You need to think. Questions will pop out. And that's when you go to the rabbi and ask the rabbi questions. Because when you are thinking, questions do have to come. So I see that there is, okay, it's not Christianity anymore. It's Noahide, but Judaism and the Jews they know it all. And because Jew did that, it's okay. So no, Jewish are also people and they make mistakes. So you have to think. And
no,
you see what I mean?
I understand exactly. So please let me give you two answers. Okay.
Please, thank you.
Two very important answers. First of all, this is what I said before to Bart. It's very important to have a live rabbi that will speak with you. And why is that? Let me share with you. This is the first answer. Okay. Let me share with you for a moment something from Genesis that it says like that. Dan, do you want to read verse number 29, please?
Sure. Verse number 29 says, when the time drew near for Israel to die, meaning Jacob, right? He called his son Joseph and said to him, if I have now found favor in your eyes, now place your hand beneath my thigh, and you shall deal with me with loving kindness and truth. Do not bury me now in Egypt.
Why? Why not to bury him in Egypt? Why not? What's the problem is? So let's see for a moment, Rashi. And what you said, first of all, reminded me this verse, okay? Because this is something that we have already since Jacob was alive. He was afraid that when he will die, what will happen with him? Please read it. Do not bury me in
Do not
Egypt.
bury me now in Egypt, because its soil is destined to be...
No. Let's skip. Also, let's read only this sentence. It will be enough.
All right. Also, so that the Egyptians will not deify me.
You think that Jesus was the first one? Okay, one of the problems that we have, that when the Jew is dying, everybody is defying him. So it's already started with Jacob, Israel, and then it continued with this, that we have a situation today that we have few billions of people that are defying a dead Jewish person. And this is something that unfortunately we have in this world. But for this, I want to jump to another very important thing. And this is in the Kuzari book in 89. And I think that Dan would love to read it again, because this is something that we spoke more than once, please.
Yeah, I love the Kuzari. Yeah, in verse 89, the rabbi says, heaven forbid that I should assume what is against sense and reason. The first of the 10 commandments...
This is enough. This is enough. Just
repeat it for me, please.
What?
Rabbi said, heaven forbid that I should assume what is against sense and reason.
Why do we have the brain in between our ears? Use it. Ask questions. One of the most important things that we have here in the last 3-4 years that we're learning together, I'm urging you to ask me questions, not to accept everything that I'm saying. And
exactly.
Questions. And ask questions and discuss things, and don't accept things just because someone said it, and don't ally, don't take anyone to become as an alien because he is Jewish or something like that. And those who are doing it is just replacing, okay, one nonsense with another nonsense. Maybe the other nonsense is, but usually live Jewish will say to you, I'm not alien and I'm not God. This is what I'm saying to you. Speak with live Jewish people. They will tell you we are not an alien. But you can also tell people, this is very important, in the Kuzari, okay, number 89. Very simple. And I can bring you more and more from the Hebrew sages, how much they're pushing that we need to use the brain. We really believe in unity of God. And unity of God is saying that he created man with all of his complex, but it's one man. And the reason and the words of God is supposed to live together in this world, and it's supposed to have some common sense. And if things are contradicted, so we need to, with the right approach, we need to remember that the words of God are still, holiest, and we need to work harder to understand it. But we're not accepting every nonsense that everybody is saying. And you can use this sentence to show this to others.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very simple. Rabbi Shmuel, you want to say something?
No, I'm listening now. It's all right. It's,
the timing is very long. People ask me about next week and the week after that. Dan, do we have any problems of learning next week and the week after that? We don't have any problem with that.
No. I always leave this slot open for your Genesis class.
Fair enough. So we'll continue next week. We'll continue the next time and the week after that.
Yeah, I get, Rabbi, my only personal concern is I have been around so many takers in my life, and they don't allow for any definition. They always want more. Give me more, and they're not putting themselves in check. And when they're pursuing wholeness or connection with Hashem, the Sheva Mitzvot is a package. And yes, it's veins of gold that branch out, but there's definitively enough there for a person to achieve a degree of wholeness in the sense of having confidence in a place in the world to come. Takers are not going to stop taking. They just they don't care about anybody else but themselves. And they miss the whole point, anyways. But when it distorts the message of what the Sheva Mitzvot is, I think there's a stage when they want more. They've actually removed themselves from being of the pious of the nations. They're no longer pious by wanting more. So there is a stage where they've excluded themselves by wanting more, and I think people need to be cautious of that and have some a legitimate awe of Hashem for sure.
It's true. We spoke about this also. I need to stop. Rav Shmuel, you want to say something? Because depends. At least say something. You came inside to the.
No, for sure. I mean, well, I think one of the points about, as Dan has mentioned now, the authenticity that a person needs in the context of faith is something which is absolutely critical and meaningful within the context of what we are learning. We had just passed through the Hanukkah festival, which ended on Friday, and there it was very obvious that if you were committed to the idea of the message of the Lord and you were all the way in, that was the key note for success. That was the basis of how a person would cleave to the truth. But this is something that requires so much of an effort from a person to be consistent about it. Also, if you think about in the study of Genesis that has been going on in recent times as well, what Joseph actually requires from his brothers is to be authentic and honest. Sometimes you do something that afterwards you regret that you did it and you felt you did something wrong, but it still takes a long time for people to have enough honesty and to say, well, what I did was mistaken. Jacob eventually decides, and not only him, that Judah becomes the leader amongst the 12 sons that Jacob has, not because he was perfect. To the contrary, he actually made a clear mistake in going ahead and selling Joseph as a slave. But he had the guts to go and admit that he made a mistake and that he makes all the effort for Benjamin to be for him all the time. That ability for a person not to avoid making a mistake, but having that ability to learn from mistakes and to be brave enough to say, yes, it was me, I did it, but I'm willing to change. I believe in the art of change. I believe a person can repent. That is something which is, that's leadership par excellence. People that are willing after a while to see, well, I could have done better. I know better. I can take and make the right choices. That's something which I think is very central in our attitude. To be able to stand on your feet and say, yes, I made a mistake and I know that, and I now am improving. Even, even if you, the recipient, will not even appreciate as much the change I have made, but in my own sense, in my own heart, I understand that I'm going through a change. That's something which is quite amazing. And as Dan had mentioned, Many are talking about the 7 Noahides, the codes. Some people think they're doing more, and we have a concept in Judaism sometimes. When you do more, you end up doing less because you spread your wings into too many things, but you're not personally focused on the things that you're supposed to do to a full extent. I'd like to bless every single one of you that your thoughts will be authentic and you will be totally focused and straight in your own direction. And even if you made a mistake, don't be discouraged. Simply stand on your feet and make it work. Believe me, I made mistakes and I still make them sometimes, but I try to learn from my mistakes. And one thing I heard from the previous comment, my late father used to say that it's much more intelligent to ask a good question. People always think there's answers to everything. Asking a good question has always been an art in Jewish thought. Being able to ask the correct question, even if you don't have a full answer, is okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Shmuel. Always good to have you. Pleasant words for sure. The whole point of it is to be true and honest and legitimate and develop in that close bond to Almighty God and be a light in this world and make the world a better place. And I really hope that people get that message and just don't muddy waters in their desire for more along the way. Sometimes, I've known people that just leave wakes of disaster wherever they go. And we don't want to see that happen with the Sheva Mitzvot for sure. I mean, people need to have that bond develop between them and Hashem is infinite. And when you consider legitimate awe of Hashem and trying to grasp a sight of that infiniteness, we all have room to grow. And may Hashem acknowledge him in all your ways, and he will direct your steps for sure. And I think, Rabbi, you got to go for now. So Hashem willing, we're good for next week.
Yes. Hopefully, with everything, it will be okay. We'll be next week. We'll meet.
Looking forward, and if we'll find a solution for you.
All right. Yeah, I do.
Much.
I do have some other broadcasts next weekend as well, but I always leave this slot open for you, Rabbi, and it's a joy. We missed you the last couple of weeks, but we're glad to see you today. Brings joy to my heart, and I just love to have the compass oriented so I know which way is left and which way is right, and I don't want it just spinning around and nonetheless, I think people know where I stand, but always a joy. So on that note, I think we'll sign out of Genesis class for today, but we will be back next Sunday, Hashem willing, for more Genesis class with Rabbi Chaim Goldberg in the Noahide World Center. Till then, everybody have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody. Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Great week. I saw
All
you
the best.
Mike. See you in another 2 weeks. Yeah, okay.